Good morning. This is Johnson here at James Allen Charter High School, bringing to you our Black History speaker for this morning, Mr. Barber Charles Maxwell. He is joining us at 8:30, and hopefully he can share some information with students about his career path, his academic path, maybe some wisdom pearls about the profession itself. So what I want to do is take a minute and share his bio with everyone. If I can just get that real quick, let's see here. Mr. Maxwell, if you want to take it from here and just kind of share a little bit with us.
I can as well. If you'd like, I could tell you just briefly. Good morning, after all, to everyone. Greetings. I'm just giving you a short bio of myself. My name is Charles Edward Maxwell. I am a native of Charleston, South Carolina. I am married to Monica Maxwell, and from this union we have two kids, Denasia Maxwell and Charles Maxwell Jr., who actually attends James Allen Charter. And I'm an entrepreneur. I own CJ's Barber and Styling, along with Coogie's Chicago Style Deli in Mount Pleasant, and along with King Street Soul Fixins and a host of other things that I do as far as investment. I'm definitely an educator. I'm a motivator, and I just have a heart to help people that I come in contact with. I'm retired from the fire service. I worked in the fire service for many years. I retired as a lieutenant. I was a firefighting essentials and.
We got you.
Unmute yourself.
Got it. You hear me now?
Yeah, we got it.
All right, got it. So I think what part you didn't hear. So I'm a retired fireman. Yeah, I'm a retired fireman. I retired as a lieutenant. I'm an instructor, so I taught statewide all the essentials of firefighting, and BLS, which is basic life support, ALS, advanced life support. I taught lots of things when it comes to the fire service as well. So I'm a graduate of Denmark Technical College, HBCU, and a degree in applied science, concentrating in barbering. I'm also a student currently enrolled at Ambassador's Christian Theology School. I'm working on my master's in theology. So that's just a short bio of myself. And I want to get into my notion today of this Black History Month, and thank you all for the invite. And I just wanted to basically talk to you all about entrepreneurship. I wanted to advance and to inspire and uplift the young people, to let them know that you can achieve anything if you so desire, which is great. I did enjoy a brief synopsis of what the young lady just spoke about a minute ago, and I would like for her to share that briefly just before I begin. So if you would, could you share what you spoke about the young student that is actually going into barbering now? Share that with them.
Okay. So what I was saying before we started the recording is that, sometimes as a school counselor, we have to, tell parents, every parent, I'll say this, usually wants their student to go to a 2 or 4 year school. And in this particular case, the student wasn't interested. I know he wasn't interested. I've worked with him for a few years now. And I just felt like we might be setting him up for failure to push that upon him. And so in some long conversations with his mom, we kind of got to the bottom of what he really wanted to do. And what he wanted to do was go to barbering school. And so that's what he's doing. It took some convincing with mom, but, we have to realize that 4-year college isn't for everyone. It's just not, it's awesome if you get to go and you want to go and that's what your dreams are. But every career path doesn't necessarily mean you have to attend a 4-year college. And I think that we need to look at some of our young men and young women and see exactly what they want to do. Because a lot of people go to 4-year colleges and then they come out and they're not even working in their field. They end up doing something totally different. And so I think that that's just a conversation that always needs to be had as a school counselor. Sometimes parents don't want to hear it. because they have ingrained in their mind that, you know, from a young age, I want my kid to do this and do that. But you kind of have to you have to go with what the student wants to do. And I have a nephew that my sister pushed and, you know, went into four-year college, and that wasn't what he wanted to do eventually. And he's doing something else now, and he's happy and they're happy. And so I just think that, you know, we have to listen to the student. So the student is starting barber in school, I think now. And I think it's I don't think it's quite a year long. I'm not sure how long the program is, but hopefully next year this time he'll be doing whatever he'll into the career that he really wants to be in.
That's great. That's great. I thank you for that, Ms. Graham. One thing I would like to tell you is I am grateful that you are actually in place to help students like that, because sometimes as parents, like you said earlier, we try to live our lives to our children and not understanding that we have to allow them to gleam and to be the individuals that they so desire. You know, not we wake up one morning like, oh, I wanted my son to be a doctor, I wanted my daughter to be a nurse, I wanted this and wanted that, but you haven't given them the notion to find out, hey, what is it you desire to do? You know, what do you feel that best for you? What's in your heart that you feel that you're going to grow and glean from? And the reason I wanted you to share that story, excuse me, is because when I was in high school, I had a teacher, and so we sat down and we spoke. And she asked me the question. She says, "Hey, Charles," she says, "what do you want to do when you leave school? What do you want to do as a profession?" And I said, "I think I want to go into barbering, because I started cutting hair when I was 13 years old." Right?
Mhm.
I'm self-taught. No one taught me, so I'm self-taught. It was just a God-given talent that was given to me. So I told her, I said, "Well, I want to be a barber, you know." And she said to me in front of the whole classroom of kids, and she said, "I think that's dumb." And she said, "I think that's very dumb that you want to be a barber." And she said, Charles, she said, and I understood what she was saying in a sense, but not using the right words, because what she said to me was, "You're so much smarter than that. You know, why don't you go to school to be an engineer? Why don't you go to school to, you know, do something great and use that brain to the capacity in what you have?" But she said to me in front of all the students, "I think that was very dumb of you to want to go to school to be a barber." And I said, wow, you know. So at that point, students begun laughing and everybody started, you know, chuckling and making jokes and stuff like that. Like, "Oh man, Charles, you're like, oh, you really serious? She outed you in front of the class." So at that moment, what happened was I didn't take it, you know, to look at it and say, "Oh man, is it going to push me away from my desires and my dreams?" No, what happened was it pushed me to advance forward. It pushed me to say, "You know what? I'm going to learn everything possible there is about this profession. So therefore, not only can I push myself to grow, but I can help others become entrepreneurs as well." You know. So then years later, speeding forward, years later, she came into my establishment, and one of my guys was cutting her hair, and so we started speaking. And I said to her, I said, "Hey, remember when we were in school, you told me that you thought that it was quite dumb for me to become a barber?" And she says, "Well, you know, I just didn't. You never really told me about entrepreneurship." I said, "Because you never asked, right?" And so I told her, and I wasn't trying to be funny by no means. I said, "The thing that you didn't understand was I would make 3 times your salary doing what I love." Right? So at that point, she looked at me and she says, "You know what, Charles?" She says, "You know, I'm proud of you." And so I told her, at that moment, I said, "Well, I'm very proud of you. And let me tell you why. Because you pushed me that much further to make sure that I was going to go out and become all that I could because of what I heard, you know?" So that's why I really wanted you to share that story, because sometimes parents have to understand that, you know, I understand that you have this notion and idea that you want your child to be the best, right? But allow them to be the best them, the best that they can be, the best that they have their heart's desire. Because ultimately, when they do that, then they'll flourish. You know, they'll enjoy, they'll advance, and they'll be the best individuals within the workforce, in the communities, in their homes, and everywhere else. Because we know as adults, you know, if we're not happy, it stimulates. You know, it goes not just from us, but it into our personal lives, so forth and so on. So with that being said, I wanted you to share that story, and it was very, very great, very, very profound, and thank you for that. So with that being said, we're going to go ahead and advance a little bit forward. And like I said earlier, I retired from firefighting, which I worked in there for years. I enjoy that service because and when I worked in firefighting alongside of me owning businesses, I worked in firefighting because I like giving back to the community. You know, I love to save lives. I love to get into the homes, and when you see folks are going through an issue of distress, not only being just a spiritual individual, but you're seeing something that you can make a change in their lives. You walk into their homes and there's something that's going on, and they may not be able to convey, or they may not be able to understand the medication. They may not be able to understand what is actually going through their bodies at that moment. But then you can come in, and that's where you become the mediator for these individuals and say, hey, listen, no, it's not as bad as you think it is. If you just follow the protocol and what your doctor has already given you, which has already been set, then this is where you can live your best life. You know, so I enjoyed that service so much, and I traveled abroad with that service. I taught statewide, and I advanced myself in the career where I started off as a tailboard fireman, meaning I came in as just a fireman, but then I grew within that service, and so as I grew, I later retired as an officer. So I had subordinates under me. I taught those guys what to do, and in line with barbering, once I became a business owner, I taught other barbers how to cut hair. I employed stylists. I employed these individuals. So not only did I employ them, they stayed and they worked for me for a period of time, but I also pushed them to make sure that they were able to go out and become entrepreneurs as well, that they can open their own establishment. See, I didn't have a selfish notion to say, oh, you know what? They'll just work with CJ's Barber and Styling. No, no, no. What is it that you so desire? Because most of them wanted to work for themselves, but they just didn't have the fortitude, the information, the education at that point to say, hey, you know what? I too can open my own business in advance. So that's what I did. I just opened my doors and allowed them to come in, and I would allow them to be comfortable. And sometimes in business, what I've learned is that if you allow somebody to feel like they're part of ownership, then that's when you'll get the best out of them. They'll come in and they'll work for you, and they'll be diligent, and they'll make sure that they'll do bookkeeping. They'll have the establishment looking well. And so those are the things that I've learned. And working in my community is very, very important to me, because my mother taught me as a kid. And I'll share some really great bullets that my mother taught me as a kid, and she's now since passed away. But those things that she have taught me has been so memorable, that I apply those things to my life today as a man. Not only do I apply it, but I actually pass it down to my children as well as those who I come in contact with. Because what she taught me was a legacy is what you leave behind for others to speak about and live on. Whatever you do for you dies with you. So I understood that. And my mother always taught me, she said, well, if you show me your friends, then I'll show you your future. She also said to me that if I was the smartest one in the group of my friends, then I need some better friends, right? So that's what my mom told me, right? So then my notion today in speaking in retrospect of barbering and some of the things that I have done as far as entrepreneurship is, number one, you want to get a plan of action, right? What is the plan of action? You want to sit down and kind of strategize and think about, okay, what are some of the things that I want to do? What are the pros? What are the cons? What is my potential career path? These are the things that you want to learn, right? So then you want to think about the pros. You want to think about the cons. You want to think about the likes, the dislikes. You want to think about the statistics. You want to think about the success rate, right? You want to think about those.
You there?
Yep. Okay. Then you want to think about the job demand. You want to think about the short and long-term goals as well. Then ultimately, you want to think about the educational requirements, right? For the field that you want to work in. You want to think about, okay, what choice do I need to do? What is it? Some of the educational paths. What are the courses I need to take? What is the level of education that is expected of me to make sure that I am proficient in my career? Those are some of the things that you want to do. And I would attest to you all today, to especially these young people, never become complacent. Always have a mind for growth, right? And to understand that there is better. not only just for young people, but for us as mature adults as well. Always understand that there's growth. You're never too young or too old to understand that there is better, but you have to desire that there is better, right? If you study some of the greats in the world, and you understand and you study the minds, I'm an avid reader, so I read a lot. I read a lot of material, outside of my Bible, I read a whole lot. So if you study some of the greats in the world, the only thing that separates the greats from the average citizen is determination, right? Because they're determined to understand that, hey, you know what? I want to be successful beyond what others see, because if you can't see yourself there, it's impossible for others to see you there, right? So that you have to understand that. For example, I'll take a young man, right? And so I know I'm speaking to some of the young people in school today, but if your desire is that you desire a certain type of sneaker, right? Because we understand sneakerheads, they want the Michael Jordans and all the other types of sneakers, right? So what you do is you work your hardest so you can acquire the latest design and the latest sneaker so that your friends on social media and school and everybody know that you're in the in crowd, right? So you say, oh, wow, I've worked to acquire that. I've worked to acquire that because it was something tangible that I can see, that I can work towards, and that's what I want. Young lady, if you're seeing your friends, you understand that it's something that you looked at, especially ladies. I love you all dearly, but y'all love to shop, right? So you want your girls to see you with your banging outfit because when you walk out, you want to know, oh, look, girl, look at me and my stuff, right? That's how women are. I understand. I have 2 of them in my house. All right. You have more clothes than you need, but still need to buy something. I get it, right? But your goal is to work hard to acquire the things that you so desire. And that's true. That's what you desire. So when working hard to acquire those things, you understand such is life. Such is life. And when you tie those natural aspects into a professional atmosphere in an arena, you understand that yourself, hey, you know what? You have to understand. And when you work hard and diligent to acquire those things of your goal, then you understand that it's worth it. I have worked hard to get here, and that's the mindset you should have, right? And the mindset of taking the road is saying, okay, you know what? I need to further my education to make sure that I can advance myself to acquire anything that I so desire. Well, let's think about it today, right? We as educators, we had to work hard to make sure that we were able to sustain the jobs that we have. We had to go to school to make sure that we get our prerequisites and all the courses that we needed to make sure that we can become the professionals that we are today that are teaching these young people. And I am grateful for that because without educators, none of us would be sitting here today on this Zoom meeting having a conversation because there would be no one there to teach us. So I am so grateful to the educators, and that's why I am an advocate who push very, very hard to make sure that educators are actually paid better than what they are. Because ultimately, you are the best champs. You teach these individuals that later on in life, they become all they are because of the educators, the ground and the foundation that was laid before them. And so when we understand that, those are some of the things that we understand that we have to push forward to. Right. And so understanding that, I want to talk about if some of you young people today, if you was to ask us, right, as an educator, the question would be this: was it hard? Was it worth it? All the time that you put in to receive the paychecks that you received, was it worth it? Was it hard? And the answer would be, if you ask 98% of us, would be yes. And the reason I'm saying that is because the evidence is you. You're sitting in the classrooms and you're listening to us because it's worth it. It's worth it, the dedication, the time that we spent up at night writing papers, making sure that we were working on degrees and to push ourselves forward to make sure that we would be educated so that we can educate you. So yes, the answer is yes, it's worth it. It's all worth it. Now, at the end of the day, and we understand not all of us do what we do because of the income, because it's just basically the love. I can assure you, excuse me, working in the fire service, I didn't do that to get paid.
Mm-hmm.
because the peanuts that you received there was just not worth it, you know? But the love that you received, knowing that you walked into an environment and that you can change a person's thought process in an instant, that you can educate them beyond what they knew, and you could help them to advance to understand, like, you know what? I see you from a different light now, you know? So those in itself, it's all worth it. It's not all about the financial aspect, but at the same time, what have you done to impact somebody's life for the future that they can lead and move forward and advance? Those are some of the things that you want to do, right? So if you ask young people if it's worth it, it's absolutely worth it. If I ask you, is it worth it that you work hard and diligent to acquire the things you desire, you would say yes. You would say yes, because that's what your heart desires. And I don't knock you for that, you know, but I want you to take that same notion when it comes to education, when it takes that same notion to advancing to move forward in life and productivity, making sure that you all associate yourselves around the right people, making sure that you don't get connected with the wrong crowd, make sure that, you know, you stay away and always keep a positive mindset, because in that mindset, you'll understand that you can advance and do anything that you so desire, right? So then I'm going to talk about a few little things here. Um, I remembered one of my teachers. She taught me this, and I apply this to my life today. I saw her probably about a year and a half ago. My wife and I was at a funeral of another educator, and she told me this when I was in sixth grade. This lady, and she said to me, she said, Max, that's what she called me. She says, Max, she said, son, I want to tell you this, and I want you to apply this to your life. Think twice and react once. And I'll repeat it. She said, think twice and react once. And if you had done that, it's less likely that you would have made a mistake. So when I saw her at this funeral and I pulled her aside and I said, Miss Grant, she spoke to my wife and I, because she taught both of us in school. And so I said, hey, it's so good to see you. And, you know, unfortunately, at an occasion like this, however, I want to tell you that what you taught me in sixth grade, I still apply today as a man. You know, I still teach my children what you taught me in sixth grade. And she said, what did I teach you? And I told her, I said, I want you to think twice and react once. And she began crying. She said to me, she said, man, out of all the students that I've taught, she said, very few of you all have came back and said to me that those were everlasting, memorable moments. And those things that I taught you that now you still act upon today. So that's what we do as educators. You know, we teach these young people, excuse just a second. We teach these young people to be uplifted, to be encouraged, to be inspired, to motivate them, and to understand that they can become all they desire to be if they put their mind to it. That's the key. Because as I'm teaching, and when I'm teaching my kids and I teach abroad, I teach them that only you define your destiny. Right? We understand in life that there are many obstacle courses within life, and there will be some turbulences and there'll be some things that we go through. However, those things don't define you. You define those things. See, you don't allow problems to dictate to you, you dictate to those things. And when you do that, you will always find yourself on top of that. Why am I sharing this with you today? Well, number one is because I care about you. Like your teachers, we love you. You know, we want the best for you. That's why I'm sharing this with you today. After all, when we retire and move on, you will be the next generation taking over where we left. So that's why we put so much into you, because we understand that we want what's best for you, you know? That's why, okay? So I'm gonna talk a little bit about my academic path. Well, I attended Denmark Technical College. It's in Denmark, South Carolina. And I graduated there in 1995. I received a degree in science, applied science, with concentration in barbering. Well, that's what I want to talk a little bit about, barbering, because a lot of people don't understand the entails and the in-depth study of barbering, right? Sometimes you will talk to a person and you says, oh, what, are you a barber? Yeah, I am a barber. But let me explain to you what are some of the courses that you had to take along this academic path. Well, in barbering, a lot of people don't understand that barbering actually falls under science, right? So in falling under science, you had to take all the related courses. I had to take skeletal muscles. We had to learn the veins, the arteries, the tissues. We had to learn the entire body as if we were a mini physician. We had to learn about lesions, disorders. We had to learn about the skin. We had to learn about so many facets of things in barbering. It's just more to it than cutting hair. You have to make sure that you learn the clinical aspect, because when a client comes into the door, you should be able to understand whether or not you can render services to this person, or you have to turn them away from what they're having at that moment. But if you're not able to identify that thing, then you won't know. So with barbering, we had to learn so much. Most people don't know that barbers were actually some of the first doctors. A lot of people don't know that, right? So barbers at that point were, we pulled teeth, we delivered babies, we did bloodletting, along with cutting hair and a lot of things. So when you look at the barbering pole, and I'll explain to you the barbering pole. A lot of people think it's just a candy cane twisted, but it's not. Well, the blue represents the vein, right? The white represents bandages, and the red represents the blood. That's what that and twisted sign that you see that's red, white, and blue. It's not a candy cane. That's what it's all about. So the blue represents.
Can I get you to repeat that one more time? That's profound, because I always thought that it was just I don't know. I guess the image in my mind was just, oh, this is just something like to grab the attention of the person coming in.
Right.
Tell everybody that one more time, because I got to process that.
Sure, a lot of people didn't know that, and so thank you for it. What happened is, when you look at that barbering pole, that indicator that you see on the outside of most barbershops, the white, the blue, the red. Well, the white represents the bandage, right? Because like I told you all, barbers were some of the first doctors. So the bandages that they used were white, right? They were woven in white. So then the blue represents the vein, right? Which is in all of our bodies. And the red represents the blood. And that's what that barbering pole indicates. It's an indicator of, once upon a time, a barber was once the first doctor. And back then we were called barber surgeons.
Wow.
So, and then later it was separated and we no longer became surgeons, we were just barbers. So most people don't know that, and they didn't understand that even going to school to become a barber, it's so much more than just cutting hair. You have to learn the clinical aspect. You have to learn the bones of the cranial, the muscles, the tissues, the artery. You have to learn all those things if you're going to a true barbering school.
Can I show that image just quickly, just so everybody knows what it is that
Absolutely.
You're talking about? This right here, right? It used to be red and white. It's a bunch of colors now, but I do remember it was like a red and white pole.
It's a red, white, and blue pole.
Oh, red, white, blue pole. Okay.
Right. The white that's in there represents the bandages. The blue that's there, that represents the vein, and the red that's there represents the blood.
Wow.
Yep.
That is very, thank you for that. I had no idea.
Yep.
None.
Wow.
So that's a part of it, you know. Like I said, to become a barber, you have to learn the bones of the cranial, the muscles, the tissues, the skeletal system, the arteries, the function of the heart. All these things you have to learn to become a barber if you actually go to a real barbering school. Now, we do understand that there are lots of, schools that pop up today, and they teach just the cutting hair aspect. They don't teach management. They don't teach entrepreneurship. They don't teach the clinical aspect. And that's what, if I was to educate anyone that's going in the profession of either barbering or cosmetology, to actually go to a school that's going to teach you in-depth study, because you need to understand these, And a lot of times people don't even understand that barbering actually falls under science. And if you further your education in that, you can actually become a physician as well. I spoke to a young lady the other day. She's a retired nurse, and she once started off as a cosmetologist. As we stated earlier, her mother wanted her to do hair, but she wanted to be a nurse. So she went to cosmetology school, and because she wanted to please her mother at that point, she is now 70 plus years old, right? But the best that she got, because she retired as a nurse. And what she told me the other day, which was so profound, she says, Charles, I had to, in cosmetology school, the things that I've learned from the nerves, the muscles, the tissues, the veins, the arteries, it helped me so much as a nurse, because when I started school as a nurse, I was so advanced into the skeletal system, the muscles, and everything else, because she learned that as a cosmetologist. So most times people don't know that. But so that's why I'm here today, to actually educate and to give insight and wisdom on what is actually the barbering service is all about, right?
Wow.
So in barbering, you have to take your related courses, business management, computer technology. All right, can you hear me?
Yeah.
All right. So I was saying, while becoming a barber, you would have to take all your related courses, such as business management, business ownership, computer technology, mathematics, English, so forth and so on. The question may be and ask, well, why do I need to take English? Why do I need to take business management? Why do I need to take business ownership? Why do I need to take mathematics? Well, all of these things are key components in what we do on a daily basis. Number one, I mean, even if you're working in an institution with someone and you're paying a rental fee, you're still a manager because you have to manage your clients. You have to manage, who do you have coming in on a daily basis. You still have to understand computer technology because you have to understand in booking appointments, you need to understand what the facets are and what you need to do. You have to understand bookkeeping to make sure you have a ledger to understand what the amount of salary that you're making. Those are all those things you have to understand. Mathematics, all those are key components into barbering and the things that you need to learn. And in my profession as a African American man, we as African Americans, male and female, we thrive tremendously off of this profession. And so I would like to speak to you today that says, don't allow the stereotypes to dictate to you or define your destiny. Remember, you can only define your destiny. I want you to understand that. So when you look at the stereotypes as African Americans, think, hey, well, you know what? Entrepreneurship is maybe further away from you. No, it's not. No, it's not. As an African American, you have so much at your disposal at this very point in time that you can actually move forward and advance. Well, the thing that I challenge you to do is get along with someone else that has already opened the business that you so desire to open, right? Get with that individual so that you can learn the ins and outs about that business, so that you can learn, well, you know what? This is great that we move forward and we advance. We own a percentage, I forgot the number, but I had it written down. I can't find it at this moment. But as far as African American businesses in the U.S., we own about 14% of businesses in the U.S., right? And out of 14% of the businesses that we own in the U.S., and quote me, I may be a little off, but I'll get those numbers corrected if I'm wrong. And so out of 14% of the business that we own, majority of those are either the food industry, they're either gyms, they're either law firms, they're either morticians, they're either funeral homes, and then the vast majority of those are barbers and cosmetologists. That's the vast majority of those. The ownership of businesses within the African American community. And so I challenge you today to, as students, look at some of the things that you can do. Listen to your teachers and be the best that you can, and be inspired to understand that don't just go to work hard for someone else. Think about becoming entrepreneurs for yourself, right? Think about that, because it is there, it's available, and you all have the access of so much at your hand that we didn't have coming up. When I was in school, we were still doing encyclopedias. You all have Google, you could just pick up your phone and research something. We had to go into the library to actually check out encyclopedias. And those of us who are of age, we understand. The younger people don't know. So think about that. There's the difference in research now today. I mean, you all have it at your disposal. So there is no reason why you cannot advance at this academic path to understand that you can become anything you so desire if it's your will. And the thing about it is, it's greatness in all of you. It's there. You just have to understand, pull out the potential of greatness. There is greatness in each and every one of you. Trust me, I know it. You have been designed, you have been born with greatness in you. But the thing is to get with someone to help you to pull fill out that greatness so that you could have the success rate, so that you can have the results of success. But you have to make sure that you have to do your due diligence. Starting where you are today in school, you have to make sure that you push yourself to make sure that you can become the best academic student that you can. Push yourself beyond just saying, hey, you know what? As long as I'm passing, I'm okay. No, it's more than that. You have to understand the importance of a GPA, of a grade point average. You have to understand that these things will help you later on in life. You have to understand when working hard and diligent for a SAT and an ACT, you have to work up. You have to think diligent about those things so that you can advance yourself to make sure that you prepare yourself for the future. These are some of the things that I want to talk to you about today, and I want you to make sure that you all expand your knowledge, right? Expand your knowledge above and beyond what you can see at this potential moment, because I want you to understand that as young people, that you all are the future, but you have to realize that you are the future. You have to act now as if you are the future. You have to start thinking apart. You have to start thinking to say, you know what? Maybe I just need to get away from social media for a little while. Maybe I need to shut this down for a little while and understand I need to pick up some literature so that I can read and so that I can advance and I can move forward. These are some of the things that you should be doing at this thing, right? So my goal today is to help someone see beyond what you can see, to understand your season in which you are, and so to help you move and advance to the next level. That's my goal today. That's why I'm here. I'm here to speak to you so that you can understand that there is a season, there's a time and a season for everything. And this is your season. This is your season to advance yourself in education, to advance yourself further, to make sure that you understand and realize that the best potential that you have, it's now. It's now. When we were in school, and all of the people that's on this platform this morning, we can tell you when we were in school, we worked diligent. Yes, we did goof off a little, but we worked diligent because we understood that there was a place that we wanted to be, and we knew that education was the key. That's why we push education to you today, because education is the key component to everything that we do in life. Reading is essential to everything we do in life. You have to read to understand, to fill out the application, to apply for the job that you so desire. You have to read for the applications when you go into the bank to apply for a loan for a mortgage. You have to read to obtain, to fill out an application when you go to buy a car or anything that you so desire. Reading is fundamental. So you have to understand that reading is essential, that you have to read to understand, to comprehend what you're reading, and to advance. So these are the things that you have to focus on and understand. So that is my notion today. My notion today is to speak to you so that you all understand that you can advance in life at this very point in where you are. It starts with you. Only you define your destiny, right? I want you to find mentors, find people that are already working in the capacities and the places that you want to be. As educators, Ms. Johnson and Ms. Graham and all those who are joining this Zoom today, think about it. There are students who are looking at you in school and they're understanding, you know what, I really appreciate these individuals, these educators. They are very, very good. You help them more than sometimes they will ever tell you. Bro, I can speak personally for Ms. Johnson because my daughter would always come home talking about Miss Johnson, Miss Johnson, Miss Johnson, Miss Johnson. I'm like, who's Miss Johnson? You know, so it was good to understand that there was another concerned adult that had the same heart that was going to speak into her life to get the best potential out of her. So the village, it was the village that raised us, and it was the village that we need to continue to move and advance for, right? So I want to kind of just tell the young people, find mentors. You know, find people that are already working in the capacity in which you want to work to become successful. I want you to kind of more or less think about it, you know, because as African Americans, we are so strong-minded that there are so many things that we can do, but we just have to get beyond what we see. Get beyond the stereotypes, you know, get beyond, oh, I can't do this. Yes, you can. Yes, you will. And you can, and you will, and I know you will. Because all you have to do is one, start working where you are, do your due diligence, one, educational wise, right? Get motivation, right? Get the wisdom, get the insight, then study the pros, the cons, and all of the related things that you need to do in retrospect of your profession. You can do it, right? So I've taken, for me, in my business approach, especially in barbering, right? I've taken the Chick-fil-A approach. Let me tell you why I say Chick-fil-A approach, right? I'm not aiming for the biggest customer. However, I want you to be my favorite customer, right? So let's think about that. Chick-fil-A is so successful because they're not worrying and aiming for the biggest customer. However, every experience there, they want you, hey, it's my pleasure. How are you? This, that, the other. So forth and so on. And what they want is they want you to be the favorite customer, because when understanding that, you will always patronize that place, right? You will patronize that place because it's more to it than just what you see. Like, I have a slogan at my business, and this is what it says on the back of my shirt. It says CJ's Barber and Styling, right? And in the middle, it says more than just a cut. Now, let me define what that means. Because when you come to my establishment, you are educated, you are uplifted, you are encouraged, right? And so there are a lot of things that goes on in my establishment that you may not see in other establishments. So you receive more than just a haircut. I deal with, I have a very multicultural clientele base where I deal with folks from all walks of life, you know? And most of my businesses come from word of mouth. It's not from advertisement. It's just because what I provide, you know, I just provide a service. Like you heard me mention the Chick-fil-A approach. I provide a service and the customer enjoy the service and they are now repeat. So that's what you want. You want retention, you know, you want folks to readily keep coming to your business. And I'm not worrying about the biggest guest. I just want you to be my favorite guest. Okay, can you hear me?
Yeah.
All right, good. So as young people today, and during this Black History Month, I would want you all to understand, I am talking to you about the barbering business that I own. I didn't talk much about the other businesses, but I'm just pushing hard the barbering business. So I want you to understand this. And I want you to understand as young people that, guess what? You deserve a seat at the table.
Yes. Yes.
Never allow anyone to tell you that you don't belong here. You deserve a seat at the table. Okay? You deserve a seat at the table. Never allow anyone to define you or to make you feel uncomfortable as if you do not belong. You do belong.
Yes. If I could stop you right there.
But this is the thing. When you sit there at the table, have something to say.
Yes.
Be educated and informed. And if you aren't, just sit there and absorb. Learn.
Yes. No, I was gonna say, if I can stop you right there, I promise you that is something that I live by. And I'll even add another part to it. I do believe in you deserve a seat at the table. I have decided in my life that even if I don't get a seat, I'll create my own table. I'll bring my own chair. If I got to bring a card table, I'll set it up. And if you're great enough, people will sit at your card table. You know, no matter what's there. You know, you will draw the people to you if you have a heart and a love for what you do and a talent for what you do, and you're sincere and people know it. You know, folks will gather around that same little flimsy card table. So I love that. I push that to my UBASA students all the time. Yes, you want to be prepared to have a seat at the table. Yes, you deserve a seat at the table. And yes, you need to have something that you bring. But, you know, after a while, when you don't want to sit anymore, you need to get to a place where you can create your own menu, you know, and you can have your own guest list. That's when you have excelled.
That's exactly right. That's exactly right. That's good. See, that's the village. That's the village right there. You know, understanding that we are multifaceted, we are multicultural. We understand that when we teach them that you understand that you have a seat at the table, you belong at the table. Don't let anyone define you and try to tell you that, no, you don't belong there. When you walk into a room and atmosphere, you demand presence, right? You walk in there and you understand it's like, okay, you know what? Who is this individual? There's something different about them. You know why? Because the way that you carry yourself, you know, the way that you walk in, you know, you're uplifted, you're inspired, you're motivated, you encourage, and then you have something to say. So when you sit at the table, like you said earlier, Ms. Johnson, and even if you sat at the table for a little while, guess what? Create your own table. Play that so that you can bring others to your table, and then so forth and so on. And then that becomes a chain reaction to move and to advance, right? So remember, there are many ancestors before us that fought so hard for us to have a seat at the table. They fought hard. They gave of themselves, blood, sweat, and tears. So remember, when we work diligently to sit at the tables nowadays, remember when they're saying our names, they're not only saying our names, but they're saying our ancestors' names as well, right? Because they gave of themselves for us to have this opportunity to sit at the table. So with that being said, we understand and we're appreciative that the things that they've done, they've laid the foundation for us so that we can advance and move forward today. So not only when they say Charles Maxwell's name, but they're saying the names of our ancestors who fought so hard to make sure that we had the privileges to be educated, to advance, to move and forward, to become business owners, to become entrepreneurs. We understood that there were so many people who worked hard for us to have that seat. So when they say our names, we're saying their names as well, right? So my mother would always say to me, right? She said to me, she said, son, she said, if you don't know where you come from, it's impossible to know where you're going. That's what she always told me, right? So sometimes in life, we have to understand where we come from also denotes where we're going. Because think about it, if you understand the foundation of a thing, right? And you understand the foundation and you realizing that this foundation was built so strong upon that you can actually move and advance and go forward. Look at a home today, right? If a home wasn't built on great foundation, after a hard storm, what happens to that home? It sinks, right? The building begins to crack because the foundation is not strong enough so that this building cannot sustain or withstand a storm or anything else. Well, that's such as life. Because we have such strong foundations as African Americans, our foundations are so strong that we're realizing that we're unshakable, we're unmovable, we're planted. So there's nothing that can move us, even when obstacles come our way, when they're understanding that some days we may be in the valley and other days we may be in the hill, but because of the foundation that was laid, there's nothing that can move us. We're unmovable. But we have to realize that we're unmovable. We have to realize the power that we possess within ourselves, because you have to understand within yourself, there's wholeness, there's oneness, there's unity, but you have to be comfortable in that, right? So today, and I commend you women for this, today there's an uprising in entrepreneurship for African American females. There's an uprising for African American females where you all are moving in leaps and bounds to advance and own businesses and all that. But it could be the same thing for African American males. If we so desired, we could just push ourselves and be the same way, right? So there's this thing, right? The saying goes this way: a journey of 1,000 miles begin with one step. Y'all ever heard that saying before? A journey of 1,000 miles begins with one step. Remember, it only takes one step to advance to move to the next level. One step. So you take that one step and you can advance, keep moving and continue to grow and continue to advance. The question is, are you willing to make that step to become a straight A student, to score the highest on the ACT and the SAT for college, for placement, for scholarship? Are you willing to take that step? That's my question for you today. I'm asking that question because you have to understand, in order for you to be successful at anything you do in life, you have to make sure that you prepare yourself, right? The future is ahead of you and it's waiting on you today. And I want to make sure that you are prepared and ready for tomorrow. The question is, and I ask of you today, is what are you doing with the gifts that we're giving to you? All of us have gifts, but what are you doing with them? Are you going to bury your talents and gifts, or are you going to multiply them? That's my question for you today. Every last one of you are equipped with a gift. My question is you today, are you going to use your gift to your fullest potential? That's my question. In any facet of life, be it entrepreneurship, be it education, be it whatever, are you going to use your gifts to the fullest potential? So I pray that you all have learned something today. I pray that you all have received some information and that you were uplifted, that you were encouraged, that you were motivated and inspired, and that you continue to advance for greatness. I pray that this is what I hope that you glean from our meeting today, that you will make sure that, you know what, I've learned some nuggets, I've learned some key points, that there are some things I didn't know that I learned today from the speaker. And I didn't want you to understand that as African American history is very, very vital, not only to the African American culture, but to all cultures. Because you have to understand African American history is to understand the history.
Mm.
So once you understand the history and you understand what we were incorporated in this history, then you understand the true essence of history. Remember, history, if you define that word, it's just his story. So don't let him write his story about you. You tell him your story. But you can't tell him a story had you not researched or read or educated yourself to move and advance forward. So you have to understand that when I travel and I take my family at various places, be it whatever city we're in, I make sure one of the things that I do is to understand. I go on an African American tour because I want my family to understand what were our contributions to this city. You know, what did we do in this city that we left a mark, to understand that, you know what, this building was built by African Americans. This institution was ran by African Americans. So wherever we travel, I always make sure that it's very important that I educate them on every city what our contributions were as African Americans. We have to understand that. We are a very powerful essence of a people, and we have to understand that we can do anything we so desire if it's our will. So I say to you all today that blessings to all. I hope that you all have enjoyed this moment in this meeting, and along with Black History Month. And remember, Black History is not just a month; it's an everyday event. So don't just sum it down to a month. Learn something new every day. Like I told you, my mother's essence was every day of your life, you to learn something new. So I challenge you today to learn something new every day of your life. Thank you. I have enjoyed. If there are any questions, I will entertain those. And I really appreciate the opportunity in speaking with you today and these young people to understand that you will define your destiny. Only you. Never allow anyone to dictate to you that you cannot become who you desire to be. Remember that. And remember, the takeaways are you belong at the table. There's a seat already prepared for you. So you belong there. Never allow anyone to tell you that you don't belong there. So I want you to keep moving and to advance and to understand that, hey, there's a village prepared and waiting for you. Just ask questions. We don't know. We're not mind readers. So we don't understand. If in some things as adults, we understand that you all experience things that we haven't experienced at a different level. But at the same time, we've been there before. There's nothing new under the sun. So if you have questions, then ask those questions so that we can help you, so that we can help you move and glean forward. So my takeaways today is just, hey, be encouraged. Listen to your educators. Strive your best to be who you are. Go forward. Get the best grades that you can. And in any profession, in any career that you so desire, learn about that career. Learn the pros, the cons, the likes, the dislikes. You learn statistics about it. You learn the salaries about it. You learn all those things. And make sure that it's something that you so desire. Then also have a backup plan. You know, have a plan A, B, and C. So therefore, if you thought you'd like that and you didn't, then you can make changes. You know, but your education will always provide you of those changes. Being limited in your education will limit you in certain arenas. So you don't ever want to do that. So I just want to say today, thank you. I appreciate you. I love you. Happy Black History Month.
Yes, I love it. I'm inspired. Miss David put in the chat that it was so uplifting. I'm just here taking it all in. I think I'm ready to start my second career. You talked about there being an influx of women entrepreneurs. I'm trying to think of how I can do that. I'm sitting here thinking, well, what idea do I have that I want to bring out? Because I got some student loans that I need to knock out. So I'm trying to, yeah. Like, can I sell lemonade or something? What can I do to increase my gross and make it the best lemonade possible? I love this. I thank you. I thank you for rescheduling, because everybody knows we were supposed to have you last week, and then you had some things going on, And I'm so glad that we were able to reschedule this. I'm also glad that we recorded it. And I'm not the tech person at all. And so as soon as I find out how we can get this uploaded, we will have it available. So if you want to share it as well on any, social media stance you have, you can. But this was so uplifting. And again, I'm thankful for those of you who joined in. At 10, we have Coach McCoy, who's going to join us as well. But I'm already on fire. 8:30 in the morning, I feel inspired, Mr. Maxwell. Anybody have anything they want to share? Any questions for Mr. Maxwell?
I don't have any questions, but just to echo what Ms. Johnson said, oh man, you gave some wonderful pearls of wisdom this morning. I mean, I'm inspired. I very, very much, I never knew about the barber pole and what those meant. So you gave us a little bit of history, and also you gave us some knowledge and some wisdom, and it was just, I'm just so glad that you were here. So thank you, Ms. Johnson and Mr. Timoni, for inviting Mr. Maxwell to be here this morning with us.
You're welcome. Thank you all for the invite.
Anyone else? Mr. Timoni, Ms. Graham, Mr. McCoy, Coach Vaden, Ms. David, anybody, Ms. Sellers, anybody want to share out anything? We got about 5 minutes left.
I love what you said about having a seat at the table. A lot of people don't know the perception of James Island Charter High School is that it's an elite school, which it is. So, coming into a school like James Island Charter High is like, that feeling of knowing that you deserve to be at a place like this, or whatever you're doing, just knowing that you are worthy. You put the time in, and I appreciate you, Mr. Maxwell, for affirming that for me.
If you could repeat the last part, I missed it.
I was just saying, I'm glad that you affirmed that, the work that's put in, you have that seat at the table. You deserve the positions that you have, the things that you're doing. When you prosper, it's only evidence of the seeds that you planted early on. So I just want to say I appreciate you for affirming that for me.
Yes, sir. You're welcome. That is a true statement, sir.
Coach, you got something you want to share out, Coach McCoy?
Yeah, I just wanted to, I was listening. I got on a little late because I had to teach a class, but it was a wonderful presentation, Mr. Maxwell. I know a thing or two about haircuts, and I need one right now. So, but,
I got you.
So I appreciate you and your entrepreneurial spirit coming on and speaking with us this morning.
Absolutely. Thank you.
Coach McCoy, you look like you starting an entrepreneurship. You starting a FedEx company back there? You got a FedEx?
I call it my Christmas corner. Those are all the things that I needed during football season that came right before Christmas at the end of football season for GSN. So we got footballs over there in cleats and some other things. So, but that's the Christmas corner.
Ms. Sellers, Ms. David, anything? I know you guys joined on a little late too. Anything? I saw Ms. David put a comment for you in the chat, and she thoroughly enjoyed it. Ms. Sellers or Coach Vaden, anything you want to share out? You don't have to, but if the students in the class, anything they want to ask. Ms. Sellers said that she said, my history kids are loving it. Thanks so much. Thank you, Ms. Sellers. Thank you. I got a fun question I'm gonna throw out there before we end. This fun question I'm gonna ask you about real quick. So it's gonna put you on the spot. Not really, but kinda. See if I can find this real quick. Tell us about, do you know anything about Bronner Brothers?
Yes, I do. I've went to that show on numerous occasions. It's a show none other. You will see so many different facets of business that it's ridiculous. I remember once when I went there, there was a lady. She was competing in this competition where she actually was doing a lady's hair underwater. So she had her model in a glass tank, and she got in there upside down and cut the lady's hair. That was crazy.
Wow. What? Wow.
I had never seen that before, but if I could pull that clip up, I'll share it with you.
Yeah, that's like a big deal, isn't it? A lot. It's like it's almost like a fair. I guess it's for cosmetologists and barbers. It's like a fair or something. It's like everything is there.
Right, everything's there. You will see folks from all over the world that travel there. They come up with some of the hairstyles that you've never seen before. I mean, some stuff that I personally myself, I was like, what? I would never do that. But hey, to each his own. So you will see some stuff there that it is quite fascinating. There are a lot of educational classes there in which they teach a lot of things like, and don't laugh, ladies, but there's a thing now that is called a man unit. And just like women will get extensions in their hair, well, there's a thing now called a man unit. So you could take a bald-headed man like myself and put hair on it.
Oh, Mr. Timoni. Mr.
Timoni. Look natural, So,
I've actually seen that, I've seen the process go through, and the whatever they put on the head, and then bald head, and then end up with this long dreads or something like that. Exactly, I have seen it.
Yeah, exactly.
It's a no for me. It's a no for me.
We got Mr. Timoni, Mr. Drake. We got Mr. Even Mr. Thorne. We can line all of them up and set them up.
That's right.
A long flowing mane.
Right. They'll come back next week with a flat top.
Oh my God, I would love to see it. Boy, that'd be the day. I don't know. Well, I thank you. This has been fascinating. I'm ready for this morning, and I got my folding chair for my table, and that I take with me. And so man, thank you.
Oh, absolutely. And when COVID's over, you're quite welcome. When COVID's over, and if there ever be a time that you want me to come to school and do an illustration of cutting hair, or just show some kids exactly what's done, how to do it, just let me know. I'll be glad to come in and demonstrate that, so that they can see. And not only just black hair, but I do Caucasian, Hispanics, you name it. I do it all, So I could actually teach and instruct that, so that kids can see, oh wow, this is possible for me to do too. So when COVID's over, if that's something that you all would like, then just reach out to me. I'll be glad to do that.
Yes. I will hold you to that. And once COVID is up, we will definitely bring you on board for that. I can think of so many students that really would like that now. So they won't be here by the time they'll be graduating, but we can set it up for those future students who could benefit from that.
And even, for those individuals who are graduating now, I'm certain between now and upon graduation, there should be a little bit of leeway. So, for those individuals, I could work something out as well. I mean, I know how to actually do it with mask on as well. So, and, do what I do. So if there is a opportunity and something that's allowed it for, then let me know. I can work it out.
Thank you. Well, we're going to end. I want to pleasantly say thank you again. And we will have this uploaded at some point once I get in contact with Ms. Childs Kindred about how to do that, and that way you can share it. And we'll also, what we'll do is we'll put something out there where if the students have questions, maybe we can shoot those questions to you for those who weren't able to view it today, or maybe those who were able to view it and think of something later. We'll compile some questions and shoot those to you so that maybe you can reach back out and have some answers, just, you know, for those who might think a little later.
Sure, absolutely.
Thank you all for joining us. And
Right,
we're gonna end and get ready for Coach McCoy in about 10 minutes. So those of you who can join us, we'll see you back in 10. Thank
All right,
you.
thank you. All right.